Okay, hello students. This is our science test for the, not test, science class for the week. And we are going to be reading out of our World of Animals book, textbook. And you should have a handout like this, all right? We're going to go through this and we're going to finish this on this video. I don't want to make another video for you guys. If for some reason I ever forget to include the paper that we need to fill out, just use a line paper and fill in the answers, put the number and the answers on that line paper, and then either you can transfer it onto one of my handouts, or you could just leave it like that. Make sure you write your name. Please write your name and date. Please, I get so many papers without names on them. And you're not going to find them in your binder later if I don't know who it belongs to. All right? Okay, so we're going to begin reading chapter 7. Remember back in chapter 1, we talked about two different groups of animals, which is the invertebrates and the vertebrates. So the book took us to the vertebrates only. We've only been looking at vertebrates. All the animals we've been talking up until now have been the vertebrates. I'm sorry. And we will be continue to talking about the invertebrates. But within the within the vertebrate group, there's other groups. We're under the mammal group, okay? And today is the last day that we're going to talk about mammals. Next week, we're going to go to another group under the vertebrates. And remember what a vertebrae is? It has a backbone. A backbone is that bone that's right down the middle of your, it's called the spine. That's your backbone. All the animals that we've been talking about have a backbone. Okay, so I'm going to read aloud and you're going to follow me. You're going to put your finger where I'm reading and you follow me. That way, if you see any words that you don't know how to read, you learn how to read. All right, the chapter is on marsupials. And we're going to find out what a marsupial is. You see some pictures there, so you have an idea what a marsupial is. But what makes it a marsupial and not, let's say, not part of the same group as, let's say, the dolphin or the cow or the zebra. It's the marsupials have a special feature. Let's read. How are marsupials different from other mammals? Of all the mammals in the world, one of the most entertaining is the kangaroo. Kangaroos hop faster than any animal can run. Kangaroos box each other in a fight for a mate. So they box. Kangaroos are often seen with the head of a baby poking out of a pouch. These entertaining animals that God created are part of the group of mammals called marsupials. Okay, next paragraph. Actually, if you take a look at your paper that you wrote your name on, I wrote the date for you. The very first question, number 1, it says, what is a marsupial? And it's going to tell us right here in the next paragraph what a marsupial is. Marsupials are mammals that give birth to babies that are fully developed. Marsupials are animals that give birth to a very tiny, underdeveloped young. It's pretty long. Let me write it on the board for you. All right. Okay, so number 1, I know it's kind of long. Try to write small so it fits in. I believe, I can't remember if I gave you, I might have only given you 2 lines. If for some reason those 2 lines are not enough, go ahead and finish it writing the answer in the back. But a marsupial is a mammal that gives birth to very tiny, underdeveloped. Underdeveloped means it's not finished forming yet. It's still a teeny tiny little baby. And it gives birth to very tiny, underdeveloped young or baby. And they finish growing in the mother's pouch. The mom has a pouch on her belly. So after it's born, it crawls into the pouch and it stays there until it gets much bigger and it can start moving around and walking on its own and eating on its own. So go ahead, and I couldn't fit the word in here, but this is underdeveloped with an ed at the end. I'm sorry about that, but go ahead and pause your video and write that for your answer. I promise you that there's only 2 long answers. Okay? All right. So the next, we're going to continue reading the second paragraph. Marsupials are animals that give birth to babies that are not fully developed. And these tiny babies, depending on the species, can be as small as a grain of rice. If you take one little rice, that's how big the baby is, or as big as a bumblebee. A newly born baby is called a joey. A joey. Isn't that interesting? It's like a boy's name. And is naked and blind. It uses its sense of smell to crawl along its mother's belly, searching for the pouch that will protect it until it is fully developed. Once the joey reaches the pouch, it crawls inside and attaches itself to its mother's mammary gland, where it will remain nursing and growing for several months. All right. So question number 2, it says, is a marsupial a vertebrate or invertebrate? Pick one of those two. We talked about it at the very beginning, which animals we're studying. If you think it's a vertebrate, just copy that word and write that word in there. If you think it's an invertebrate, copy that one. Spelling group number 1, if you want to, you can just circle which one you think it is. All right? That's just spelling group number 1. Number 3, is a marsupial a mammal? Is a marsupial a mammal? We answered that in question 1. It's a yes and no answer. Okay. Number 4, what is a baby kangaroo called? I'm not going to write the answer on the board because if you're following me while we're reading, you will see what it says. A newborn baby is called a joey and it is naked and blind. All right, you can just copy that word into your book. I'm only gonna help you out with a really long answers, because you should be following me while I'm reading, and you should be attempting to find the answers along with me. Next year, those of you guys who move on to Mr. Vaughn's classroom, you're not going to get help looking for the answers. So I'm trying to wean you off I'm trying to teach you how to get the answers on your own. All right. Number 5, we're going to be looking for this answer. It says name at least 3 marsupials. So we know one already. It's a kangaroo. So let's keep reading and see if so you can go ahead and write kangaroo on there. And if you don't know how to spell kangaroo, if you look at the picture in your book on page 28, it spells kangaroo right there for you. And we're going to keep reading until we find 2 more. So the third paragraph, kangaroos are the most famous marsupials, but there are many other ones as well. Koalas, nunbats, mulgeras, and Tasmanian devils are some of the over 250 different kinds of marsupials. Nearly all marsupials live in Australia, Tasmania, and New Zealand. Page 29. The only marsupial to live in North America is the opossum. And if you haven't seen an opossum, then you need to be looking out the window when your mom and dad are taking you somewhere, because very frequently we see them on the side of the road having been run over by a car. We have lots of raccoons and opossums right here in Reedley, Dinuba, Fresno. So they have long tail. They look like large rats is what they look like. Okay, so if you were reading along with me on the third paragraph, it gave you examples of different kinds of marsupials, and you can fill that in for number 5. Okay, if you need more time, pause the video. Number 6, many marsupials are nocturnal. Does that mean that they are awake during the day or during the night? Let's keep reading. Red kangaroos are the largest of the kangaroos and can get up to 8 feet tall. They are the largest hopping animals on Earth. Yet some breeds of kangaroos are very small. The musky rat kangaroo is only 10 to 12 inches. Remember, your ruler is 12 inches long. So if you stand up the ruler on its end, that's how tall the smallest kind of kangaroo there is. But big or small, all kangaroos have large hind legs with big hind feet. The middle toe of each hind foot is longer than the other and is used for pushing off when hopping. Also, all kangaroos have large tails that help them keep their balance. So they use their tails to help them not fall over. Large kangaroos can hop up to speeds of 30 to 35 miles an hour. God designed the kangaroo to be a hopping machine. The large legs and the tail are ideal, and at the back of each leg is a long, stretchy tendon attaching the muscles of the leg to the ankle bones. This tendon stores up enough energy between hops that is released when the feet hit the ground. So when a kangaroo is hopping, its body remains about the same height while its legs stretch out and then fold up as it hops. So when it's hopping, you don't see the animal going up and down, up and down, up and down. His legs are going like this. So when he jumps, when he lands, his legs go in. And so when he pushes off, it stretches and it brings him up to where he's, I don't know if you understand, um, his legs are the ones that are extending or folding, and it makes it look like he's at the same height while he's hopping. Its body remains about the same height while its legs stretch out and then fold up as it hops. God designed the kangaroo so well for hopping that it uses up about the same amount of energy when it is hopping slowly as when it is hopping quickly. So it is God designed this animal to work in such a way that it doesn't have to use extra energy to hop, and it goes fast. It goes it goes as fast as a slow moving car. Okay. And so if we go back to, we're looking for nocturnal, aren't we? The next paragraph on page 29, right underneath where it says Tasmanian Devil. Okay. It says kangaroos are generally nocturnal. Kangaroos are nocturnal. What does that mean? Means they are active at night. They are awake during the night. The question was, many marsupials are nocturnal. Does that mean that they are awake during the day or the night? You fill in the answer. Number 7. We read this one already in the previous paragraph. It says, how has God designed the kangaroo for jumping? Let's go back. Underneath the opossum, the last paragraph, it says large kangaroos can hop up to 30 to 35 miles. God designed the kangaroo to be a hopping machine. That's not the answer. The question is, how did he design it? The large legs and the tail are ideal, and the back of each leg is a long, stretchy tendon attaching the muscles of the leg to the ankle bones. This tendon stores up energy between hops that is released when the feet hit the ground. So its tendons, these stretchy tendons, store up energy. So when he's hopping fast, he has a lot of energy. He doesn't get tired, and his legs are pretty strong. Okay, so number 7, let's answer that one. Okay, so number 7, I have it on the board. So if you can either answer the question from your book or from my board. But before I show you the answer, I want to explain what a tendon is. A tendon is, it's like it's flesh inside your body, but it's in the form kind of like a rubber band, and it's attached to your muscle. If this is your bone and this is your muscle, so it's wrapped around your muscle, and it attaches it to this is a very, very informal way of showing you, but just to give you an idea. So I'm having a hard time doing this. Okay, so this is your muscle and this is your bone. So see how it's attaching, it's pulling my muscle towards my bone, and it keeps it on my bone. okay? So this is, and it's stretchy. It's stretchy like that. So the kangaroo's tendons are very stretchy. Human beings' tendons are not very stretchy because sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, I tore my tendon. That means they pulled it so hard, it didn't stretch and it broke. Then they have to have surgery and they have to kind of sew it back together. So that's what a tendon is. Sometimes when you're eating a drumstick from a chicken, at the end of a piece of meat from the drum, you have the big drumstick, it looks like this. Right here on the end of the meat right there, you'll see this white rubbery piece of meat. That's a tendon. All right. So this is the answer. The question is, how has God designed the kangaroo for jumping? It has large, powerful legs and feet with stretchy tendons for more energy. And I didn't write this down, but the tendons, they store energy. Our tendons don't store energy, okay? The kangaroo needs a lot of energy to be able to hop as much as it does. So kangaroos don't walk, they only hop. So that's your answer for number 7, all right? And we're almost done. Number 8. Oh, if you want to pause your video while you write that, because I'm going to continue. I don't want to make your video too long. Number, let me see, number 8. What do marsupials eat? Let's keep reading. Page 29, underneath where's the Tasmanian Devil. It looks like a big rat, doesn't it? Kangaroos are generally nocturnal, meaning that they act at night. They're active at night. They spend most of the day sleeping and resting. Then, when the sun goes down and the temperatures cool off, the kangaroos begin eating, which they continue doing almost the entire time they are awake. Kangaroos are plant eaters, and like many other plant eaters, they chew their food and swallow it. Then later they spit the food back up and they chew it some more. Kangaroos also have special bacteria living in their digestive tracts, that means in their stomach and their intestines, that eat the cellulose in the plants that help the kangaroos digest the plants. That means plants that are very chewy, they have the bacteria in their stomach, which is not the same bacteria we have, will chew it up for them so it'll become soft. Koalas, opossums, and kangaroos are all plant eaters. So there's one of your answers. The question is, what do marsupials eat? Plants. But many other marsupials are insect and meat eaters. There's the rest of your answer. Insect and meat eaters. The nunbat is a marsupial that eats ants and termites. So that's 2 more answers that you can put in there, but you only need 3 out of 5. The nunbat uses its sharp claws to tear open the trees or termite hills. Then it uses its sticky 4-inch long tongue to pick up termites or ants for a tasty meal. So it eats just like an anteater, doesn't it? But it's not an anteater. A hungry nunbat can eat as many as 20,000 termites a day. The most famous meat-eating marsupial is the Tasmanian Devil. Thanks to its sharp teeth and tendency to growl, it has earned a reputation as a very fierce animal. However, recent studies have shown that it is not as fierce as once believed. Tasmanian devils live only on the island of Tasmania, near Australia. These animals are nocturnal and live in brushy, wooded areas. They hunt wallabies, wombats, sheep, and rabbits. But they prefer to eat animals that are already dead instead of hunting. Doesn't sound too good, honey. All right, next page, page 30. While the name marsupial means pouched animal, there are marsupials that don't have pouches. These include the nunbat and the brown antechinus. From nunbats to opossums, marsupials are very interesting creatures. See what else you can learn about these animals. Okay, so here's a fun fact. Kangaroos keep cool by panting like a dog. when it is really hot, a kangaroo will lick its forearms and the evaporation of the saliva will help to cool down the kangaroo. So if, let me see. So going back to the last question, what does a female kangaroo take? Where does a female kangaroo take care of her joey? Where does a joey live until it's fully developed? Where does it take care of it? In a pouch in her belly, on her belly, not in her belly, on top, on the fur. So the joey is taken care of in a pouch on mama's belly. Now, on the bottom of your paper, you have some examples of marsupials. And then right here in the middle, it says, place a check mark next to the mammal that is a marsupial. I'll let you try to figure that one out. If it should, let me see, kangaroo, yeah. Yeah, you should be able to answer based on what you see here and or on in the book of the chapter 7. You should be able to figure out which ones to check off. All right. Make sure your science paper is complete. Last week, a few of you, there was one, maybe two questions that weren't answered. Try to answer all the questions on here, okay? If you have any questions, call me or text me or come by and visit me at school. I'm here every day. All right, that's our science lesson for today. Bye-bye.